Okay, so first of all, what we did with Greta is we established the sectioning pattern. And for most of you that have been connected with me within cutting education, I think you realize that the sectioning pattern is quite a big thing for me, because it's almost like a way of controlling and mapping out the procedure technically of how you're going to establish, first of all, a shape, a length, the proportion within the shape. Okay, so what we have is we started from a center profile parting, and then we took a radial parting from ear to ear, right on the top of the head, apex, and then we just subdivided a small triangular section. We all nicely twisted it up in little 90s dots, so it looks already good, and it looks very organized, so it's easy to work. We want to work effectively, we want to be efficient in what we do, and then through the back, we just isolate it out just from the curve of the head shape and slightly diagonal back. Now, I will explain you the reasons, the why behind the sectioning pattern as we're going to be working through the procedure step by step, because then it's going to be, for you guys, easier to take it in and to give it some kind of sense. All right? Okay, so now I have to decide where I'm going to be starting the haircut, and I think I'm going to do that through the sides. I'm going to start through the sides first. So I'm just clipping away the back, just to make sure we work very clean. Then I'm going to undo the sides. I have prepared the hair with quite a load of leave-in repair. I like to work with leave-in repair and Stay Alive, and actually overuse these products, so the hair gets a little bit lived in, quite gritty, quite raw, and almost a little bit sweaty in a way. You know, you overload it with product, gets a little bit sweaty, so you get that feeling like you get in the magazines, and I really like that. Okay, so this is water. I just like the mist of the Staying Alive container. So I have a real Staying Alive and I have water. It's been a long time since Greta had a haircut, so it's going to be quite some transformation that we're looking up to here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just going to subdivide the sides here. I'm going to turn around a little bit so you can see. I'm going to bring the hair forward. This is a very important part of the haircut. That's why it's isolated out, it's disconnected. Because this is where we're going to have to open up the face shape. See, there is no tension on the hair at all. It's very important because I'm allowing the hair to stay as much as possible in that natural movement. And I think when editorial relates to hair cutting, I think these details are exactly the features that we need to look at. Because if the haircut becomes too rigid, it looks overly hairdressy, and that's not what we're looking for in this case. It's really hard to let go. It's actually really difficult, and it takes a lot of experience to do almost a no haircut kind of haircut, if that makes sense, because it's about letting go. Okay, so no tension at all, and you see there is a dramatic part of length coming off here. Greta is still smiling, so that's good. Yes? I'm going to use both. For the moment, I'm still with the straight scissors. It could be optional. I mean, I could already work with the curved, but I will do that later with what we call the motion area in Kevin Murphy terms, which is internally of the haircut. Okay, I'm very happy how that is responding. So now I'm going to take the next section and bring it all forward. By doing that, we're going to start building up a little bit of weight and length internally and prepare the disconnection to work with the longer back. Okay, no tension at all. I can see my guideline, but because we're working with such a deep point cutting, you have to make sure that the guideline is actually there instead of right on the finger. So you have to cut almost into your guideline to make sure that you don't start going longer. See, and I want to cut that from wet to dry and work it very natural. So through the whole procedure of the actual cut, we're going to try to emphasize that natural feel within the haircut. See, the guideline is right there. Yes? Well, I haven't actually talked about that yet, just to put myself in a safe position. But I would say it's going to be between what we call a shag, maybe not in the UK, and a mullet. I'm skating on thin ice now. So we are looking for a very shaggy kind of mullety, a shaggy mullet, yes, that's it. Yeah. Okay, so in the procedure of cutting, I think it's really important to see how the hair starts behaving. And once we're happy with that, I'm going to establish the other side first before we continue, because that's going to give me more control over how we like to keep the proportion and the balance evenly throughout the shape. So just subdividing exactly the same way. Maybe I should be standing like this now. That work, Leticia?
Yes.
Just measuring. See, that length is sitting exactly where I wanted it to be. Not bad for Monday morning. Okay, so keeping an eye on how we've been directing the hair forward with low elevation. See, no tension at all. Before we continue, we check that a little bit more. working our way down. Just taking a little bit more from the top. See how I'm manipulating the direction of the blades to be very parallel to the hair, because it's all these little details that's going to make a difference. Your tension, the way you handle the blade. Okay, forward. See, no tension at all. And then when it feels right, when you can see the guideline, this is the point where we start gripping the hair. I think it's really important with haircuts like this that you have a strong source of inspiration, and then to make sure that what you do is relevant. Don't do the things because you want to do that for your creative fulfillment, you know. Just find the right person for the right reason and then establish the right mood. And no matter how advanced or classic your approach is, if your work is relevant, it's going to work out. I get inspired by people like Eugene Solomon and Guido on Instagram, because the work is very undone, very unhairdressed in a way, and maybe a little over the top initially, but I think your source of inspiration needs to be a little bit over the top so you can diffuse it into something a little bit milder. Sure. Oh, I didn't get that, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, I just look at it visually. It's really hard to, everything visual is hard to explain, but I make sure that I see my guide as a reference, but then it's almost, once I had a reference from start to finish, I'm not cutting a blunt line onto a guide, I'm individually point cutting using that reference. So it becomes very, very organic and very loose, but still you maintain the shape and the balance within your shape. Okay, so we're happy the way we have established that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue that through the sides, but with an extreme form of over direction. We want the hair to be pretty damp. I use about 6 pumps of leave-in repair to prepare it, because I absolutely adore that product, and when you overuse it, it's a great way of styling hair. Okay, so I just continued from the corner of my section here, and now we're going to overextend that. And go quite extreme with the point cutting. Because this is the point where we want the hair to gradually drop into quite a long length at the back. See, once you have your sectioning pattern into place, and you can rely on a certain technique, it gives you quite a lot of opportunities to work that feeling, that vision, that taste into it. But unfortunately, when it comes to education, there is no academies for taste. So it's just kind of being surrounded with the right people and create the right environment for yourself with the right visual influences that's going to give you that, you know. And I think that's important because no matter how good you are as a haircutter and how technically skilled you are, it's ultimately your taste that's going to, you know, get you to the next level. And it took me years to realize that. So I just want to deliver that message to all of you, but also to the younger hairdressers, to make sure that they don't waste as much time as I did before realizing that taste was such an important element. Even though I must have done something right, I just wasn't really aware of it at some point. Okay, so very overextending that hair forward. No tension at all. And then go very extreme with the point cutting. All the way to the bottom. Okay, the balance is good. I just have a little piece of hair not on the opposite side, but even though it's meant to be very visual and very loose, I think it's really important that you do keep an eye on having a decent balance in there. The proportion is going to be very much responsible for the look and feel of the hair, but also the longevity. So you're almost extending the expiry date. And when it comes to salon work, people are going to really truly respect that. If you are in a certain price category and you want to charge for your haircut, and they have a really good lifespan, people are truly going to respect that. And I think it's very important to focus on that. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to keep focusing on the outline of the shape, foundation area, as we call it in calligraphy terms. And now we're just going to start working the baselining, which is pretty simple. It's just a decision we have to make for length. And we are keeping quite an extreme length there, but of course this is way too long. So it's just making a choice here. I feel this is working. I mean, coincidentally, it's just on the edge of the cutting collar, the neck shield. That's not done on purpose, but it just somehow. Length is also pretty much feeling based. I mean, in education, we see how beautiful that works with the sides now, so that seems to fit together really well. Okay, great. So yeah, when you make your choice of length, it's you have to. It's a visual decision, you know. It's something we can't really educate. We don't really want to educate the choice of length. I think that would be too rigid. Okay, so you continuously see that I'm really manipulating and tweaking the scissors, and I'm working very parallel, very deeply with the scissors, so I think I'm taking a lot of risk when it comes to point cutting, because this is what I do on a daily basis for the last 29 years, I guess. But it's very important at some point, if you control the scissors just with one blade, it's very controllable the way you produce the cutting, but also from a safety point of view. Okay, so now we have the option of what we're going to do internally here. Now, Greta's hair is a little bit thinner, so we're going to have to be careful in how we control that. So I think all I'm going to do is just take a little bit of weight out, just to bring out the natural movement and the texture. I'm not going to technically layer the hair there, because I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think that in the long run, Greta is going to benefit from that. So we're not going to do anything, as I said, for the sake of it. So what I'm going to do here is just taking a block section, lift it all the way up, and this is the point where you could start layering. So you could use your perimeter, the length of your perimeter, which you can see there, your guideline, to start layering the hair if you're dealing with really thick hair. In this case, I'm just going to elevate the hair up, just to the section, halfway, and just snip out a few tiny little pieces, and then a little bit further and do the same. It's almost like in a small brickwork pattern, and all it's going to do, see, it's going to enhance the movement or the natural texture. No more than that. It's no need here for technically layering it. So the thinking is with every section you take. You think what you want and what would be the best way to deliver that result. For people that know me, you know, I like simplicity, I like minimalism. I think it's one of the most underrated things within our industry. You know, it's so easy to get in that trap of showing hairdressing industry how good we are in doing things, how strong we are technically, and how capable we are of doing things by just overdoing it. And I think, you know, taking a step back. Okay, see that just releases the weight, enhances the texture. I'm really happy with that. Yes? Yeah, I think it determines of where you place your layering and how much you layer the hair. I mean, how short you go with your layering. Absolutely. So that's going to depend on the choice of section pattern you're going to take regarding the placement of it. For example, um, if I was working with denser hair, then my section pattern internally could have been a little bit lower, which means if it's lower, the section is bigger, so I release more hair. So everything we do regarding the placement of the pattern, and then what we actually will do within the pattern, everything is thought about. Everything is kind of, in the first place actually, everything is thought of suitability. I still see a lot of hairdressers being occupied by creativity in the first place, and they're just like, you know, they're just excited and they're inspired and they just want to place this particular haircut they have in their head on the first model that comes in. It's better to work with suitability and relevance because it's also going to avoid you from having what we would call writer's block. Because if you have too many options on too many people all the time, one day you will get a creative block because there's too much to think about. So if you think purely in essence of style, suitability, and making that person look better, you will avoid that because you will just have to think about the right bob, a classic haircut, a visual haircut, a messy haircut, a clean haircut, and these choices will be easy to make. And you will get fulfillment of your work in the long term rather than getting a short term kind of excitement, if that makes sense. I'm just having an extra look on the connection point between the sides and the back. I'm happy with that. I'm just texturizing it a little bit more, making sure there is no heavy weight anywhere within the shape. But also at the same time, the hair is going to look textured. The hair could even look like it's been razored. But Greta's hair is too sensitive, too delicate, too fragile to actually do these kind of techniques. So we have to be more clever with the technical part and how we actually use the scissors. Okay, internally, we have this little, yeah, it's almost like a diamond shape, like half a diamond. Carefully placed around the crown from the highest part of the head, from the apex. And with what we've done now in the whole outline, actually we can do whatever we want with that. You know, we could even go very extreme with shorter lengths, not that's what we want now, but you have a lot of options without actually damaging the feeling of length. Okay? So what we're going to do here, if you do these kind of shapes for the first time, it might be nice to click that away. So what we need to do now is find the right proportion in length, but also in shape, to make sure that Greta has that kind of narrowness that the haircut has. You know, it's really important that the haircut has like a slimline feel. It doesn't go bigger to the sides, so we have to calculate that. We have to calculate the density of this hair type here, which is already calculated by the size of my section. And then we're gonna have a look of how we're gonna establish um, the shape. Now, in all honesty, I don't prepare things like that. I have prepared the setup last night and you know, the inspiration and stuff, but what I'm actually going to do, I don't prepare because I don't want to be restricted by how I felt yesterday about it, or I need to see it, I need to experience it, I have to hold it in my hand, and this is where the decision is going to come on. See, one advice I can give you, if you work from the top of the head, from the apex, and you want the shape to be smaller, the shortest layer should sit on the top of the ear, or even above. Once you go below the ear, or at the bottom of the ear, the shape is going to go bigger and wider, okay? That's all you need to know, really. So I'm just going to that first section, see how broken that is, but still, because we chopped the hair, we didn't damage the cuticle, so it's not going to put Greta in problems that the hair is oversensitized. And everything that comes off here at this point is actually going to make life not only very beautiful, but very easy for her to handle it. It's going to be a huge difference. I'm very excited about this hair collection. Okay, so now we're going to be over-directing. No tension. And just a second time, just to make sure. The texture is there, because we don't want to blow dry the hair and then going back through it and texturize it. No, we want to approach it from wet to dry, organically. So we just need to make sure that we do that throughout the whole haircut. Okay, I'm going to get another swing around. You're not drunk, are you yet? And then find the same guideline that we established to do exactly the same procedure on the opposite side. Okay, so I'm standing behind the section because that's going to allow me to see the guideline exactly where I need to see it. Yes? No, no, you mean the underneath, right? No, this part I'm cutting now has a complete individual, new established guideline. It has no connection with the sides or the back. And I feel the next question coming up now, of how you establish that length. um, well, I guess in my case it's probably experience, but I never in my whole career measured any length. It never really worked for me. So you just have to use your common sense and your feeling. And if you are a younger hairdresser or a bit newer in the industry, I think you probably have to just kind of try and error. Just keep it a little bit on the long side. And then see how it works out, and then just you know, bit by bit, you find your confidence to go where you need to get, if that makes sense. But yeah, just don't try to be restricted by any education that gives you options for length. It's not organic. It's very rigid, and you're going to end up doing the same haircuts all the time and doing the same haircuts for different people, and that's not the idea. Okay, so now is the moment of truth, I guess. Now I'm just turning Greta away from the mirror when I look at myself. Oh, look at that. I'm actually really happy with that. See, the hair doesn't bounce up. It just has enough length to just have a little bit of natural lift, and it narrows the shape a lot, exactly at the space where it needs to be. I need to cut more hair on one of this. Okay. All right, so actually we're going quite swiftly through the technique. All we have here is quite a deep triangular section. It's got way to the back of the apex, but it's narrow. So that's going to avoid from opening up the facial features too much, because we have this, what we established. So we have a variety of how to expose the facial features. So what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to change to the curved scissors now, because of course the fringe is going to be very responsible for the identity of the haircut. It's also going to be the part that makes Greta very happy or very sad. No matter what else happened in the haircut, this is the part that she's going to go in the bathroom and look at it first time every single morning. So no pressure. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to subdivide it slightly across the head, and then have a diagonal subdivision. Okay, get that out of the way. Just simply wet that down a little bit. Okay, we're going to go with low elevation, because I want to keep a certain density in there. And we're going to go slightly going outwards with the fingers. If there's one thing that actually doesn't scare me, it's fringes. You know, I've been a big fan of any kind of fringe since the very beginning of my career, because it's such a nice way of giving any haircut, first of all, an identity, but also it also always gives that edge to it. It's exposing eyes, and I think that's exactly what we want to do here. Okay, I'm still going to leave a little bit of option for when the hair is dry. We can always see when it's dry if it needs a little bit of extra length or weight to be taken away. Again, the second section, low elevation. See, my guideline is actually there. So it's very, very broken. I always have the same ambition when I cut hair. I always hope that I don't have to blow dry it. I just want to make hair look good in a very natural way, just that kind of wash and wear feeling. I only blow dry hair that's actually, some hair types you can't get away without a blow dry. It's just one of these things. But I want people to wear their hair on a daily basis without having to put effort in. So like just organic, effortless hair is, it's what I love doing, but it's also what I love seeing. I think my perspective of someone who looks sexy is someone who didn't make any effort on the hair. For me, that's when the hair floats in the wind, or when someone just comes out of the sea, whatever. Just that whole natural thing about hair. That's what I found the most attractive. So that's, of course, what probably has inspired me the most through my whole career. Okay, calculate the balance. And you can turn your scissors around accordingly. I mean, if you go with the curve inwards, the hair's going to kick out, but you can contradict that. You can change them all the time, do one side in and one side out. It's not the idea here to have a perfect kick somewhere. It's just like a variety of natural kicks that we want to create. So I'm not really worried about how to hold the scissors or anything like that. Oh, I'm happy about that. They're a very essential tool that relates to cutting within the Kevin Murphy brands. I mean, I've been working with it for 7 years now. Some people thought, when they first came out, oh, it's just going to be a seasonal thing, or it's maybe like a gadget, or whatever it is. It's not at all, because it allows you to create bend in the hair to promote the movement that's already there into stronger, or to create texture without having to slice or razor into the hair, because it takes out the typical half moon shapes of hair, which with the straight scissors you can only do by slicing, and then you actually scrape the cuticle. And this is something that's not relates to how we feel about how to, oh, look at that. Okay, so far so good. That looks amazing. Yeah. So I use a truckload of leave-in repair. Now I'm just going to use a small amount of smoothing in, not to make the hair smooth, but just to make sure that the curls are maybe a little bit tamed, and just to avoid the hair from going frizzy. Okay. I think this is the moment of truth. This is the point of no return. I want hair to look really good at this point. I don't want it like, oh, I need to dry it now, and then I need to texturize it and work on it another half an hour to make it look good. No, the hair should look good at this point, because that's an indication that your procedure, your sectioning pattern, your technique, your taste that you're building, that it makes sense, that it's successful. I think if it doesn't work at this point, there is something that needs to be changed about your method of working. What's also probably important to know that it's like, I have so much patience for cutting hair, and I have no patience for finishing hair. So I need to find a way to, it works for that. I have just simply no patience. There's nothing special to it. Just let the hair dryer and the diffuser do the work, and then you can tweak it with your fingers. But don't crunch it. Just be very gentle and just kind of bending the hair in very slight different directions. Every detail counts. You don't have to really go in it with your hands, or these are things that I've learned from people like Wade and Kevin, Nathan, James, Massimo, Yohamati. How little details and how you touch the hair make a huge difference in the way you approach it and the way it's going to look. And it helped me a lot, because funny enough, as I always promoted myself as a hair cutter instead of a hairstylist, but lately I've been doing more beauty shoots and editorial shoots than I've ever done in my career. So people seem to kind of dig the way I style hair lately, so it's something that I like to give credit to being with Kevin Murphy, because it just made me a better hairstylist, but still in my own right probably. Just be very, very gentle on the hair, just let a medium heat do the job. The products I work with the most are Staying Alive and Leading Repair. I also like Smooth Again, of course, Anti-Gravity, the classics like that. But I've been working with a lot of Staying Alive, even as a finishing product almost, just to get that real lived in, almost sweaty feeling in there, which I like so much. Also looking at this point, that there always should be something there which is actually breaking the protection a little bit, and mainly in the finish then, so should be always something a little bit wrong with it, just to make it real and make it represent real street culture. So like, just like some bits there are not supposed to do that, maybe that was there. But that's something that starts to appear quite naturally to me, like that little imperfection I'm always looking for. Um, and I remember being on one of my first shoots with Kevin, and I know Kevin was always like, you know, make sure we pick the shot where there's always something a little bit wrong about it, because that makes it more relevant and makes it more real. And it's just more pleasing to the eye. It's just like, Okay, now we're just going to put a little bit of cold air in just to slightly relax it a little. Oh, thanks, Beth. I'll give you that 10 quid later, okay? I'll give you that 10 quid later for giving me the compliment. Okay, now I think it's very important. We all been through a very, very, very difficult time emotionally and creatively. A lot of people have businesses. I think, guys, if I can give you one more message across, is be surrounded with people that believe in you, people you can trust, and people that bring the best out in you. Because otherwise, you're not moving forward. Don't accept anyone to bring you down. And make sure that you are surrounded with inspiration, whatever source works for you, whether it's the music industry, street culture, editorial magazines, it doesn't matter. But you need to be visually exposed to the right thing, and you need to be emotionally exposed with the right people. Because I think after this lockdown, after this pandemic, after this COVID is beaten, we are not in a position to compromise any longer. I think we need to go forward, we need to be, inspired and motivated and positive and take it on to the next level. And that's something I think very, very, very important. I'm just going to stand up Greta now, because then you see it's going to make more sense than with the gown.